All right, I know what you're thinking. What am I doing covering this album? That I'm kind of in the same boat myself. This is one of those albums that really, if you're coming, into my channel and you just know that I love metal, I love progressive rock, and I love experimental music, this wouldn't really fit. But I mean, my first real love of music came from Weird Al. So that alone should tell you why I love this. So let's dive into it.
My arms are broken and I don't know why my chest is smoking. I will heal you with my staff. I'm sure we'll look back on this and laugh. Now go.
The Prophecy by Ninja Sex Party. Yeah, again, it's such a strange little band that we have with Ninja Sex Party. Two dudes, you've got Ninja Brian and Danny Sexbang coming together and writing stupid, silly songs about dicks and whatnot. Now, I will admit, I'm not a big fan of some of their earlier ones, like their first two albums of Not Safe for Work and Strawberries and Cream and all that. Not a big fan. It wasn't honestly until Cool Patrol that I started to really get into them. And now I've only very recently discovered them. I should put a preface into that. Just last month, I found one of their tracks from this album of The Prophecy on TikTok, and then I did a deep dive into their back discography. And their first couple of ones, as I already mentioned, aren't all that great, but I saw that they have 3 covers albums, and on those albums, they have songs from Genesis, Peter Gabriel, Rush, Asia. So there's a lot of good material as their sources, as their inspirations. Now we come into the album that they released last year of The Prophecy. And right off the get-go, I love this album. I really, really do, which is part of the reason why I'm talking about it. The thing that I love about this is, of course, it's, they're all jokes, they're all comedy skits, but I feel like where their past albums, right up until Attitude City, I think it is, it felt like they were utilizing the techniques from the past, like they were hugging a little too close to their influences, shall we say, in terms of like the comedy duos, like the Lonely Island, although that's a trilogy, people, or Tenacious D. This album feels much more in their own style, of their own expressions, and whatever joke that they're trying to lay down is enhanced by the musical stylings that they've chosen to do it in. Now, most of these are in that power metal, glam metal from the late 80s or mid to late 80s. So we've got It's Bedtime, Thunder and Lightning, which are very like those stadium rock, stadium anthem tracks, and that's part of the charm. Like It's Bedtime is all about this lullaby to a kid and like bringing forth all these ridiculous things, like here's a jackhammer, here's pirates and police officers having a gunfight. There's all these like really intense things going on. Along that, I also love how I Don't Know What We're Talking About and I Haven't for a While, as well as Wondering Tonight, are almost like power ballads. I Don't Know What We're Talking About, more in the vein of like Aerosmith or Guns N' Roses or Anthrax, and being that over the top big crescendos of emotional outpour, but it's all about this guy that's essentially tuned out of a conversation, then realizes that he's done that and now he can't follow what's going on. Really, really love, and I love how catchy and infectious it is. Wondering Tonight isn't necessarily my favorite one. I think it's very 90s sentimental, but it's all about euphemisms of what this ex-lover of this guy is doing to her current lover. Like, whose mayonnaise are you gargling? Whose yogurt are you slinging? Like a very PG-13 gratuitosity. Like, I feel like a lot of teenagers would just love this. And then I feel like Do Math With You is, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of this in terms of the music, but I do like all the math puns, like calcu-me and calcul-you, that makes calculus, and I want to kiss your ellipses. It's really great. I love all the puns in that sense. And then you've got The Decision Part 2, 10 Years Later, which is a callback from their first album, which is The Decision, all about who do you want to sleep with, Ninja Brian or Danny Sexbang. The big joke is that Ninja Brian has an STD, and I'm not a big fan that that's the punchline. I don't know. Maybe it's in bad taste for me. Like, I just kind of listen to it. I'm like, I didn't like that one. Like, it's just not funny to me, right? Like, it's not even that it's in bad taste. It's like, it's just not that funny. But I also like how Ninja Brian's kids album is a little bit of a double joke, because Ninja Brian, the actual guy, has a kids album out, and it's also a setup of The Decision Part 2, where Danny is coming on saying, hey, because I've been telling people that he's got an STD, this is my repentance. I'm singing on his kids album. So yeah, and the other skit is The Wishing Bear, which I giggle every single time because it's just hilarious. I love it. Honestly, the thing that makes me come back to this album time and time and time again is the Mystic Crystal, the 12-minute epic that I love on this album. Now, you guys are all proggers. I'm a big prog head. 12 minutes isn't that long, but for like a comedy sketch band, 12 minutes is a long time. And I mean, this isn't their first big one. They had another one 2 albums ago with 6969. But I love the Dungeons and Dragons fantasy-esque version of this. I love the build-ups. I love how it's more in the vein of like 2112 than 6969 was, because it takes a lot of those homages from 2112 in like having separate chapters to have them usher into different sequences. And I love that big crescendo near the end point where there's that final showdown between the Necromancer and Danny Sexbang and Ninja Brian. So overall, I've been loving this album, and it's been getting to the point where like I've been listening to it every single time I get into the car, and I needed something like this. It's catchy, it's infectious, it's grooving, it's an instant earworm. Like, I find myself humming along and singing to these songs even when there's no music around. Love this album. Highly, highly recommend it. Just give it a shot. Maybe it's for you. And if not, oh well. You might even want to try their covers albums, because they're not just straight up, dicks and happy fun times. Yeah, this is an album that I love with my whole heart. I really do. I come back to it, and maybe it's just the novelty of it. Maybe in a couple of weeks I can't even look at them. But as it stands right now, I can't help but love it. So there you go. Have a listen to The Prophecy by Ninja Sex Party. And let me know of your own thoughts about it. If you loved it, if you hated it, whatever you thought about it, let me know by commenting down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see and you want to help support me, check out my Patreon. I've left that down below. Even $1 a month goes a long way. You get your name at the end of the credits here, as well as fancy bonuses, depending on the amount that you choose. So, yeah. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.
Only light can stop dark.